they lowered, they threw right in the middle of the screen. Oh, they split the screen. Maybe a bigger screen.
Welcome back to the Spartan Boxing Radio Show. This is Dave Corling and Joey saying hi to you. We've been off for a little while. Life happens, and we have things going on. We're adults.
I've appeared other places. I've appeared on Eric's podcast.
You've appeared in a couple other places. I've appeared in my backyard, and I just before we start, I do want to know. I want to ask Corling, how is the bonding going on with your devil dog?
Fuck him.
Don't say that. That's a cute dog, man.
Yeah, he's cool. He's cool.
I would take him off your hands if I could have pets here.
So today we're going to talk about the Wilder Fury rematch that's happening this Saturday, the 22nd, in Las Vegas. I was present for the first fight in Los Angeles at the Staples Center, and it was a very good fight. It was a good fight. The decision was questionable by many people. Many people thought that Fury won the fight. Wilder knocked Fury down twice in the fight, but other than that, it was very hard to give Wilder any rounds in that fight, especially counting on the fact that, I mean, there was one round that Wilder landed just one punch in the whole round. So, just before we start with the rematch, I want to know just a recap on what your thoughts are of each on that fight. What did you guys think of it?
Joey.
I just rewatched it yesterday for the purpose of the podcast.
I watched it last week
too. Prepared here. So I watched it yesterday for the sake of this podcast, just to be prepared. I was probably a little less impressed with what Tyson Fury did. I think there was a lot of hoopla, putting his hands behind his back.
I noticed that
a lot
too.
Of crap, but
a lot of non-action.
And the early rounds were all close, and it's probably why you can make a case for the draw. The problem with the early rounds is Wilder's aggressive, but it's not effective. And Fury was more busy, and it just, pick your poison. Basically, that's what it was. I like a busy fighter. I like a guy making the fight, the guy creating the pace. And I think Fury did that. So he was winning a majority of the early rounds for me. He gets dropped in the 9th, and then again in the 12th. He got up. He was okay after the first knockdown, and he won the 10th and the 11th. And in the 12th round, he gets dropped again, and everybody thought he was dead because that's what Wilder does to people. And he got up, and he looked a little shaky.
Undertaker.
But he was smart. He clinched because Corling loves clinching so much, and then he started to win the round back. It was kind of weird. And I thought it was more profound than what it was, because I had only seen the fight live, and that's it. I never watched it again until yesterday. I don't think he did enough to win the round like some people were saying, but he did enough to make sure it was only a 10-8 round. Like Wilder, I thought Wilder was terrible in the 12th after he knocked him down. He has no idea how to finish a guy. And usually people are so hurt that they can't recover and get up and do that. So they couldn't do what Fury did. He got up and, he cleared the cobwebs, and then he was able to. When Wilder tried to finish him before all that happened, it was just windmill Wilder. It was typical windmill Wilder. And I think Fury was smart enough to get him in close so that he couldn't extend his arms and land big shots, and he got to clinching him, and it saved him. It saved him. Because if he gets dropped again, he loses the fight. So I thought Wilder was bad in that, even though it was a great combination, the right and the left hook. After that, to finish him, he was way too sloppy, he wasn't patient. He could have done something a lot different, a lot better, and probably finished the fight. I like that. But I didn't think he finished well, and it's probably why Wilder didn't get a win in that fight.
How about you, Corling?
Corling.
I watched the fight also. It's only the second time since
recently.
Let me see. No, I watched it last night. I watched it one time before. I think it was the week after, the original fight date. And I'll agree with Joey to a certain extent. Those early rounds were real close, man. Real close. Because it wasn't a lot being done.
No, it wasn't.
Wilder was missing a lot of punches. Fury was doing a lot of posturing, the feinting, the twitching, and all that. So I mean, it really wasn't.
He was landing his jab though, and that's why I said what Wilder was doing was aggressive, but it wasn't effective aggression.
Yeah, but what you were saying about Fury not being a busy fighter and Wilder not being a busy fighter, no, they don't throw a lot of punches, but the type of pressure that they put on you was a little bit different. It's always keeping you thinking. Fury is moving the hands and the feet and doing all that.
And to me,
he feints a lot. And to me, that's busyness. Even though it's not necessarily a lot of punches coming through, it's something to keep your mind occupied.
No, but Wilder, I didn't say he wasn't. I said Fury was the busier, and he was landing the jab. It just wasn't anything all that meaningful.
Yeah. Right. It didn't
maybe
mean
like
anything.
one or two punches in the second round, but it wasn't anything that really hurt Wilder.
Right. But as the fight went on, I don't know if Fury started figuring stuff out, or I didn't know if Wilder started falling apart, but Fury started getting through. Wilder, he'll put this high guard up right here, and Fury was actually kind of punching through that high guard with some pretty accurate shots. The one thing that I'm afraid of, and we're probably going to talk about it a little bit later, Fury's size seemed to trouble Wilder at the end. The leaning, the clinching. You're talking about I don't like clinching, but if you're a big dude, I want you to fight like a big dude. And Fury's a big dude for real. Like,
no, I said you're a fan of clinching, and I meant that.
Yeah,
talked about.
Right. I'm dead serious though. Like I looked at him in the clinch, and Fury just swallowed this dude, man. I mean, Fury's a big guy, strong guy. It's no doubt.
But also Wilder was very small for that. Wasn't he 214 for that fight?
209 fight for the weigh-in. 209, which means that me at 5 inches shorter than Deontay Wilder, I weigh essentially right now 10 pounds more than he does, man. I mean, Wilder doesn't have an ounce of fat on his body, not 1 ounce of fat. But man, Fury was that's a big guy. I think that's what helps him absorb that punishment too. Essentially being outweighed by 45 pounds for that fight, 50 pounds. It's a lot harder to chop that tree down.
Who said being a fat crackhead never paid off? Look at
that. as far as the 2 knockdowns though, Fury, when he went down tonight, he went down, and like you said, he seemed like he was okay. It looked like, he put his hand up like this, like he made a mistake. Like, how in the hell did I do that right there? So, and then in the 12th round, I thought it was over. Wilder went over. He was like, it's over. I thought it was over.
He's a little dance.
Yeah, man. Yeah. I was, to be honest with you, man, like I was screaming in the house. I was screaming in the house. And I thought Wilder was going to finish him because that's what he does to everybody else. And then I saw that he wasn't as hurt as what I thought he was. He wasn't as hurt as what Wilder thought he was. And he started pressing forward, man. When he started marching forward, that's what gave Wilder a whole bunch of trouble. That he was slipping shots that hurt Wilder. I could tell.
He caught him with a hook.
So, that right there, that after the knockdown in the 12th, that told me a lot about what I could expect of the second fight.
It's that's the one thing that I'm afraid of. And you said that 12th round, it was starting a little bit already, but yeah, that 12th round that's what it's me fearful. I ain't gonna lie. As the biggest Wilder fan that y'all know, I ain't gonna lie.
No, you're not.
Here's my take.
I know one more.
Here's my take on that fight. Being there, obviously in person, it's a different perspective than watching it on TV. I was literally giving every round to Fury until the knockdown happened. I mean, I just couldn't find a round for Wilder. I thought that Wilder was too not mobile enough. He was just planted, and his hands were down, just trying to look for the 1-2. And if you look, he just kept throwing the same combination, and when Fury kept dodging and ducking the same combination over and over and over.
The movement made him reset constantly.
It was so telegraphed,
and he's not a good boxer, so that's not going to be difficult.
So
yeah.
So I had a hard time doing that. I thought that I didn't think that the first knockdown was much of a knockdown. Other than I really thought at first it was a slip while I was over there, but then in the replay they showed that he did get hit, and it's obvious that Fury thought he made a mistake and he was, upset with himself about it. He got careless, and he admitted after the fight that he got careless and complacent, and that's why he got caught. And then afterwards, in the what is it, the 10th, 11th, I saw Fury win those rounds, and then the 12th happened, and I still gave it to Wilder. But I think I had it like 10-2 at the venue. Watching it at home, I had it 9-3. So it was very hard for me to accept that draw. I think that draw was really a bad score, considering what happened, regardless of what inactivity or what happened in the beginning. Wilder still didn't land practically anything through the beginning of the fight that was, a substance. Fury's feints that you guys mentioned, his hand feints, his head feints, his shoulder feints, his feet feinting forward and then sitting back, had Wilder completely confused. Wilder did not know what to do, and what's concerning to me about all that is that throughout the whole fight, his two corner men were not giving him instructions on what to change and what to try differently. It was almost like crickets in that corner. At one point, I think that they told him that he was winning or something, which, I don't know how you can tell him that, before the knockdowns.
That was like in the 7th round when they told him that.
Yeah, something. It was something like
Breland's
that.
kind of he's like
it wasn't
a little
Breland. It was
soft-spoken,
Days or whatever his
JD's,
last
yeah.
JD's was telling him that.
Yeah.
But Breland is a world-class fighter. He's an Olympian. He should have seen what was going on in the ring and said, "Wait a second, this is not working. Let's try something different." And that's what concerns me going into the next fight. But we'll get into that in a little bit. Fury was really not in 100% shape for that fight. Wilder, I don't think, was in 100% shape for that fight, for the first fight. I think that there were some rumors or something was said about him being sick, which is possible, and that can affect the performance of a fighter. But still, what Wilder did show was that his power is fight changing. So regardless of how good of a fighter anybody is, including Fury, he can end the fight or at least change the outcome of the fight by getting, knockdowns and maybe knocking his opponent out. And that's what makes this fight really exciting and this rematch really exciting. And, they've talked about doing the trilogy and doing a rubber match. I'm okay with that. I'm okay if they leave Anthony Joshua waiting. And I tell you why. You have really the highest level of boxing fighting right now, whether that be, high level boxing or not. They're at the top of the heap in that division. Okay. In comparison with maybe other heavyweights, maybe they can't measure up to them. But at this moment, they're the top guys, and I want to see them fight regardless.
They're all equally mediocre.
And that's fine. And I love that. And I love that they're fighting because
that's fine.
Somebody's going to win, somebody's going to lose unless we have a draw again. I wouldn't mind putting $20 on the draw, to be honest with you, for this fight coming up.
You know what's good about this though that I will say? is that if there is a trilogy, you have two dudes who are willing to fight each other. They're not gonna A-side the shit out of you, right? They're not gonna sit there and be like, oh, 75-25.
And I'm gonna say this.
It just shows that they're willing to fight each other.
I'm gonna say this. If one of them would have lost this last fight, it would not have mattered. They would still be making this fight as big as it is right now. Hopefully, it honestly, I don't care who the promoters are or who the players are. I don't care. I hope that it does well because a lot of money was invested in it. 2 Super Bowl ads worth $10 million each. All the promotion they've had, shows, game shows, all kinds of crazy stuff that Fox is putting up. And if it doesn't do well, it's going to affect how Fox proceeds from there on with pay-per-views and such. But if it does well, then that's a good thing. It's a good thing because then we can start thinking about making that Errol Spence versus Bud Crawford fight on pay-per-view.
Yes, sir.
Or making other fights like Tank Davis versus Lomachenko, because there's already a working relationship going on in between those people. And I'm listening to Bob Arum in his interview with
and his marijuana candy
with his marijuana candy with with Steve Mannix. Is it Steve Mannix? Chris Mannix. He was saying that in comparison to how the relationship and how the fight relationship went during
negotiations were with Pacquiao and Floyd.
During that whole process of Pacquiao and Floyd, that was not a pleasure to do. Now it is. And I think that that comes through the fact that the other side of the street now needs to have these type of relationships in order to be able to bring meaningful fights that the hires above Fox and whoever's really putting up the bulk of the money for promotional money is going to approve. So it's almost turning into that relationship of HBO and Showtime before, when it used to be where they really were the ones that dictated what was going to happen, instead of having one party trying to monopolize and shut out other ventures so that they can, monopolize the business. So
this fight does set a good precedent, though, going forward.
Yes, absolutely. And I think it's going to pull some casuals. Casuals that have been watching these shows on Fox, and they've been watching the commercials, and they've been watching the interviews. I don't think it's going to do, 2 million pay-per-views like Bob says it's going to do. It's ridiculous. But if it gets close to 1 million, I mean, that's pretty decent. So
the first one did 325.
Listen, if it does 800,000, it's a win. It's a big win.
Yeah, it is.
And it has to do that. It has to do that so that there's buy-in from ESPN and Fox and the other parties. That may even draw out the zone into saying, okay, we'll agree to a pay-per-view if we have rights to the fights in other markets, for example. It's better. It's good for boxing. I don't like having to pay for a pay-per-view. I rather use the DAZN model because we get a lot more fights for the money. But if that's what needs to happen to get 2 of the best fighters together, then that's what needs to happen, and I'm okay with that too. And I did in 2010, I bought every single freaking pay-per-view that they had in 2010 from every station, including the Bernard Hopkins versus Roy Jones Jr. rematch farce.
Oh my God.
Holy cow. That was just
that was in 2010.
That was insane.
Didn't Floyd fought Mosley in 2010 too?
I even bought an Inter. I don't know what the hell was that promotional company. They did a Juanma Lopez pay-per-view for $20. I even bought that, man. That was a crazy.
I remember those.
Yeah,
that was probably just the top. It was a straight up top ranked pay-per-view.
No, it wasn't even top.
They were like $20-$30.
Yeah, yeah, it was crazy. So I'm happy this is happening. I'm happy the rematch is happening.
I think I want to touch on something that you just mentioned, and that's you said if somebody would have lost this fight, it wouldn't have mattered because it was competitive, and you want to see him do it again. If they told you Derevyanchenko and Golovkin are going to go at it again, you'd want it because it was close. People said, "Oh, Derevyanchenko won that fight." I mean, if somebody would have lost the first Golovkin Canelo fight, which most people think Canelo lost anyway, it wouldn't have hurt the rematch. It might have been more of a story. You had Pacquiao fight Marquez 4 times. If you are matching talent, like we said, we lose all these heavyweights. They're all equally mediocre. But as long as they're matched equally, it's okay. Because if it's close, if it's competitive, you're going to want to see it again and again and again. So if they do 3, I don't have a problem either. I don't care if Anthony Joshua has to fight Derek Chisora 9 times. So I don't care. I'm not going to pay attention. I'd watch this. The first fight was good. I think this one's going to be good too.
Yeah, I don't want to see Deontay Wilder or Tyson Fury or Anthony Joshua versus Gerald Washington on pay-per-view. I don't want to see that.
Right.
I don't want to pay for that. I don't think that's something that fans should be subjected to. And it's not just picking on Wilder. It applies for any fighter that's out there in any division. I don't want to see that. I don't want to see these crappy pay-per-views. I want to see top guys fighting each other. And if they lose, they lose.
You're
Who
talking
cares?
You're talking about Bob having the good relationship now with Al. And if you notice, all the fights we want to see are, this guy on one side of the street, that guy on the right or wrong. So those relationships have to happen. They have to start to materialize. They have to start, being on the same page. Because look, you want to see, Charlo fight Canelo, right? You want to see Bud fight Spence. All of these are all crossing promotion. And they're all the biggest fights. You can make all the in-house fights you want. Do you want to see Danny Garcia fight bumps? Do you want to see Crawford fighting a bunch of nobody still? No. The best fights are over there and over there and over there. And these guys need to get their shit together because
we see guys like Canelo Alvarez, and we've seen all of the negotiations. We follow this closely. All of the tactics, all of the A side and the shit out of the other side. And it makes the viewing experience for the fight so much better when you know that dudes are on even terms. They're willing to get in with each other. And they're just like, you know what, man, let's just make the fight on both ends. And then that's it. It makes both, the people who are representing both of those sides, it makes it better right there. I think it's good that you see these working relationships and you see these guys and they're able to just hang out and let it go in press conferences and things like that. Fans like us, we don't want to hear about, weight clauses and, weight penalties and made up weight classes. And we don't want to hear about that. We just,
I heard an interview today with Caleb Plant. I heard it today where he's talking about, he wants a level playing field. He's not going to be rushed into a Canelo fight. He's not going to be coming off his fight. And he goes, yeah, maybe the fight was easy. He went 10 rounds or whatever it was, and he knocked the guy out or they stopped it. And he looked great, and the fight was relatively easy for him. He goes, but I still put in 8 weeks of training camp. My body needs to rest. He goes, if I was going to fight Canelo May 2nd, I'd have to basically have 2 weeks off and right back in the gym. And he's like, well, and what they did to Kovalev, they're not going to do to me. Because he goes, I'm here for legacy. So he goes, I know if I ever get offered that fight somewhere down the line, and if I have a proper training camp and my body has rest before I'm able to start training for the fight, I'm giving myself the best chance to win. Canelo's supposed to be, he even says this, Canelo's supposed to be better than me. So I'm going to want to put myself in a position where I have the best chance for me to win, because I think I can win the fight. But give me a level playing field.
That's okay. That's okay. But he has to be ready to accept the fact that he won't be making those millions of dollars against that Canelo in that fight, regardless.
They asked him.
So
they asked him, if you are the type of fighter to take, Jacobs got 12 million, Kovalev got 12 million. They're basically saying you're not there yet. Are you willing to take 5 and then go win the fight and bet on yourself and then say, you know what, go for legacy first and then the money will come? And he said, absolutely.
Yeah, I believe it.
I liked everything he said. I like that kid. I really do. I don't think he's ready for Canelo yet, but you know what? At least he knows you're not going to shortchange me. You're going to give me a little more money, so you could try to get me, coming off 8 weeks of camp and he said Kovalev was dead going into that fight, and I said that from the very beginning. People are like, oh my God, Canelo's going to 175. No.
Corling.
You know what though?
Corling.
You know what he also said real quick. You know what he also said? He said, I want to unify too. So it's not like he's not calling it, okay, whatever. If he's ducking Canelo. No, he's trying to fight Benitez. And that's a tall task too. See, and that's the thing. Canelo ain't got no belt, man. Canelo ain't got whatever. That's another story altogether.
That's a whole nother story. I'm just gonna add that I was impressed by Caleb Plant, but then again, you have to look at the opposition. But he looked much bigger than the other dude, man. I mean, he looked like a freaking light heavyweight.
A full 168.
Yeah,
but you know what though? In the weigh-in, he was 166.8.
Yes, I know. And the other guy was 165.
Yes, sir.
He can make that weight class for a long time.
For the next 3 years, man.
Leaving that one for another podcast. I wanted to ask you, what do you think, Corling, Wilder and Fury both should have done differently in the first fight to win it? Okay, not what they're going to do in this fight, but what they should have done during that fight to win the fight and not get a draw.
So it's actually really simple with Deontay Wilder. I
know what you're going to say, and I was going to say the same thing. Go ahead.
No. It's to use the jab more and to throw it at different levels, right? You got to throw it at the body. And I'm talking about here, the chest, the shoulders. Just mix it up, double it up, triple it up, do whatever you have to do. But that right hand, he has to throw it straight. I don't know why he's looping it. You're giving Tyson Fury, a guy who likes to duck and slip and maneuver, time to watch it. He sees the angle that it's coming from, and he can duck it and swim under it.
Looping it and telegraphing it too. I mean, it was just so obvious that even I could have ducked it. And look,
it was like some of those right hands that he was throwing was looking like fucking whatever Mookie Betts or Brett Gardner throwing a
barroom brawler type shots.
I mean, it was a wind up.
Why do you think he
have a tail on those punches?
Why do you think he didn't throw the jab? Was it because of the feints? Yeah. Was it because of the awkwardness of Fury?
No. I don't think so. I think he was trying to look for that one shot, and I don't think he was trying to set it up, because if you can tell, he was fighting very anxious from round 1 all the way to round 12. It was his first pay-per-view.
He looked tense.
It was his first time. He was tense, man.
Yeah.
And I think he just wanted to put on a show. That's a nerve-wracking experience. That's that next level up, man.
What about
Staples Center? You got the place packed out. That's it. It's just definitely nerve-wracking. But he's got to throw that right straight, which means he has to get the jab in there and be at the right distance and straight.
What about Fury?
Fury's real interesting, because with all these guys who we're talking about, he doesn't have to change a thing, and he won 10-2 and this, that, and the other. That's all well and good, but Fury, to me, Ben Davidson and what's his name, the dad, who's Tyson Fury's dad?
Peter Fury.
His dad.
Man, Peter. He said it, and I believed him 100%.
I know where you're going.
He's sitting there fighting like a small man. This guy he's the bigger man. He's 19 stone or whatever they called him. Right. He has to fight like he's quote unquote 19 stone. And he started doing it at the end of the fight, coming forward, marching forward, pressing forward.
Yeah.
And that is the thing that he should have done way before. If he would have done that way before, that's the thing that worried me in the first fight. That's the thing that's going to worry me this time around. If he figures that shit out.
Do you think he can stop Wilder?
Yes. And that is where
any heavyweight can stop any heavyweight.
But
I'm almost positive.
It's not only that. Wilder's
not that easy, though. It's not that easy to take out.
He's not easy.
He's got good instincts.
He has very good instincts, but he has that strong will also. That strong will to get you fucked up at some point, man. Sometimes you got to know when to hold them and when to fold them.
He has belief.
And the thing,
he has belief.
he has belief, and that belief 99% of the time has worked in his favor. But I saw in this fight, especially in that 12th round, that belief, he was like, "Oh shit, hold on, let me go ahead and cover up." And Fury doesn't even sit down on punches, also, which is real crazy. Usually he'll flick him out there and then he's gone. What if he actually stood his ground and sat on punch, even against Otto Wallin and Sefer Safiri, the dudes he's knocked out, he doesn't even sit on punches. It's just off the fact that he has so much mass and size that, these guys just succumb. What if he fought like a heavyweight, like Emmanuel Stewart would tell him to do? So you have this guy, Sugar Hill from the Kronk Gym, who's the nephew. I guarantee they're working on having him sit down on punches a little bit more. And what if it catches?
I think that the times that I've seen Wilder have trouble with fighters, they've been in his chest and they've been on him and they've been, muscling him. And it seems like it zaps him and it drains him. And he's been able to get out of that and come through. But it hasn't been against a guy who's 6'9" and outweighs you by 40, 50 pounds. It's been by smaller guys that have gone after him and pushed him around. So I think you have something there. But then again, it's also, you have a guy that's 6'9" with a long jab. Why not stay outside and not change much except be more careful than in the first fight? Because for all intent and purposes, to me, he won the fight. Other than wanting to get the knockout, so not leave it to the judges. Why should he do anything differently than what he did in the last fight, other than be more careful, obviously? So, Joey, what do you think?
And that's where I was going to go. As far as Fury, you know what? We saw him dance around, act a fool, put his hands behind his back. Just cut that shit out. Take the fight seriously. Do a lot of what you did in the first fight. But I do think there is one thing he can do. And like you were asking if he could knock out Wilder. And I think any heavyweight can knock out heavyweight. And I think he doesn't get a lot of knockouts because he doesn't sit down to punches. And maybe it's everything his dad says.
Yeah.
He fights like a small guy who wants to jab and move and jab and move. That's fine. If the Kronk Gym is going to turn him a different route and make him do something, anything that would be different would be to sit down on punches and actually come a little more forward where you're getting inside of that Wilder's wingspan. Now those long loopy punches, if Wilder's going to do this, you're inside that now. And you could, go to the body, little short uppercuts upstairs, and you could crowd him. And it's just, I don't like that crowded fight, but there's some guys where the best thing to do to them is to crowd them and get inside their reach. So do a lot of what you did before, but I think he could kind of take it to Fury a little bit. I don't think he gets a knockout, but I think he can get inside and just muck things up enough and get all those shorter punches off, inside of Wilder's wingspan. As for Wilder, and it's something he's not done his entire career. I don't know if it's going to change because you said after the first fight call, you said back to the drawing board, and we were kind of chatting about this on Facebook this morning. And I said, except that he went back to the drawing board after that fight, and he didn't change anything. He got Brazil out in one round, and then he went to a rematch with Ortiz, and he got outboxed for 6 rounds. He lost every round, and then he lands the one punch. And it's like he didn't, do anything different. He was just finding a way to sit down and land that one, and he did. And he usually does. The only one he didn't do it to was Stavern, and Fury got up. He landed them. He just got up. Fury's a guy that moves a lot, and sometimes it's not just moving around the ring. It's just a lot of the movement, and that expends energy. How do you sap a guy's energy? Fury, you got to go to his body. And Wilder doesn't go to the body anywhere near enough. He's landed, I'm looking at CompuBox right now. No, it's not 100% accurate. We tested this.
Right.
He landed 27 punches in 12 rounds. That's like 2 body punches a round. That's not great. He landed 11 power punches to the body. That's it. That's less than one a round. You're heavyweight boxing. I mean, you chop your guy down, and Wilder doesn't do it. And I don't know if they're gonna change that. Like I said, I didn't see anything different in a Brazil fight. I see him get completely outboxed in the second Ortiz fight. He's not doing that. I mean, could he throw a jab to the body like you said? Yeah, sure, that'll help him. He landed 16 of them, in the first fight. Do a little bit more of that. Try to find a way to slow Fury down from moving around or bring all this upper body movement. He's gonna stop expending all that energy if he's getting tired. He's not gonna move in all this. He's gonna be getting tired because he's gonna get hit in the body. And I think it's one thing that Wilder should definitely implement into.
Let me jump in real quick, and I'm gonna say something. When Ortiz was fighting Wilder the second time, I was nervous for that entire fight until the round before Ortiz, or was it the same round that he got knocked out? Wilder threw left hooks to Ortiz's body, and that
might have started the round before.
That's when the complexion of the fight changed, and that's when I eased my tension because I was like, okay, now we got something here. We got the building blocks of something. So Wilder, like you said, he does have to go in there with a plan. Now, what I did hear in an interview with Wilder's team is that the guys who were emulating Tyson Fury that he was sparring, they put dots right here for Wilder throw at those targets rather than right here, because of course Fury's going to be moving and ducking and slipping,
right?
But you can't move this as easily,
right?
So they put those dots right there, and I think that's a brilliant strategy that they could use. And look, man, Fury's fat. I don't give a fuck. Nobody says hit him in them goodies, man. Hit him in the groceries wherever it's available. Hit him in the groceries.
It should have happened in the first fight.
You could chop that tree down.
It should have happened in the first fight. Considering that Fury
it's something Wilder hasn't done his whole career, though, so I don't know if that changes it.
Yeah, but it should have been implemented in the game plan.
He did a little bit late.
Considering that he was coming off of a huge layoff and he had some very bad, prep fights before that, they should have made it a point to go to the body during the first fight. I think it would have made a big difference. I still don't know if he'll be able to land to the body or if he's just gonna, be mesmerized again by the feints and not do it. But
I mean, he could be counted to death going to the body too. But if you can start to land it, you'll slow him down.
Here's my keys for Wilder for this fight to be able to win. I think he needs to come out firing with his jab and just focus on the jab and focus on those points in the shoulders and focus on the groceries and focus on the chest and forget about landing the big shot and just start beating Fury up. Even if he takes a couple of punches here and there, he's going to eat some shots regardless. Fury can land his punches, but Fury doesn't commit 100% to his punches. So he can take some of those shots and still start beating him up and start slowing him down so that towards the middle and end of the fight, he can go ahead and chop him and then maybe land, because Fury's going to get tired and careless, and then he can land the big shot and end the fight. Or maybe even leave him sitting on the stool if he beats him up enough. Now, for Fury, I like both strategies. I don't mind if he boxes him and stays outside and jabs the hell out of him, and then once he gets him frustrated, then starts coming in forward. But he needs to do it earlier than he did it last time. Maybe rounds 9, 10, 11, and he's got to be more careful. Or if he's in shape, I don't know if he's going to be in shape or not. Ben Davidson's not there, and Freddie Roach is not there, and God knows what's happening in that gym. And there's talk that he's going to come in heavier. I don't know if that's talk or if it's by design or if it's just that he's not fucking training. We already saw the last heavyweight fight where
a guy didn't train.
The guy didn't train and came in really heavy. But if he gets in Wilder's chest and starts roughing him and mauling him and not giving him the space to land the windmills and land the shots, I think that's even a better plan to maybe even stop Wilder, to really get him to the point where Wilder is going to want to quit. and it's going to want to get out of there.
Hmm.
So,
Not quit.
well, he's
He
gonna
ain't gonna quit, man.
think about it,
I don't see his
bro.
quit.
He's gonna think about it. At least hurt him enough where he's gonna take a knee, or go down. So you have to take away his offense and his distance, because I don't see Wilder having a good inside game. I just don't see it. And I think that Fury can fight. Fury can fight outside and inside. He's a born fighter. He comes from
He's a born boxer.
he comes from a culture that this is what they do from the moment that they get out of the cradle, is they start fighting. And in a sense, I think that's why there's a kinship there. There's a lot of similarities between Wilder and Fury. There's the racial issues from where he's from Alabama. Gypsies in the UK are not viewed in good light, and they're ostracized from society. So there's a kinship there, and I know they're friends. Let's get that out of the way. They're friends. They're friends, but they know that they're going to make some money. Hold on.
This is business.
It is, and so one of them is going to have to lose in this fight, and I don't. It's difficult to pick because Wilder has such power. Hold on. Has so much power in those hands that.
Are you drawing this out for suspense?
What? Am I what?
Are you drawing this out for suspense? Drawing this out for suspense.
No. It's difficult. I think it's even harder for me to decide on this fight because of the uncertainty. But what I do know is that we'll have a winner and a loser, and we'll have a rematch, and that's great. And that's great for boxing, and that's great for us because we're going to see the best possible heavyweight fight we can see in this modern time right now at this moment. And then we'll get to see it again. And then hopefully one of those guys or both will fight Joshua and either take Joshua out and expose him or get knocked out, because one of the two is going to happen. And this is not, I know that Joshua's not going to fall for Fury's feints, and he'll go for the kill if it comes down to it. And it's going to be a matter of who lands first between Joshua and Wilder, and who's going to win. Who lands the big shot first? Because, as big and tough and strong as AJ looks, he's got a glass chin. Let's be honest. And Wilder is not. Wilder has been buzzed. He's shown more resilience, but then the level of opposition he's had is a little bit lower than AJ's. So, so my prediction is I don't freaking know, man. I'm gonna lean towards the boxer, and the guy with the most skills. But in this kind of situation, when you have somebody who can hit that hard and knock his opponent out, it's difficult. It's difficult to decide. So, yeah, almost a draw.
Are you going or am I going?
Go ahead.
Well, I think we touched on everything of what they should have done in the first fight and what they could do in this fight. And I think, and I don't think it's a shock when Fury gets named and the new. And it's because of what I said before. I think the only thing he really, to me, that he has to do is not fuck around in here. Because that's the one guy you cannot make the mistake with. If he could take it serious and he can use, most of the game plan from the first fight and get inside. And I think also the mind game, the fact that he got up in the 12th has got to it's got to say something to Wilder. Like, I dropped him twice, and and people still think I lost. So there's got to be some type of mental there too. I think it goes 12. I don't think there's any knockdown. I don't think Wilder knocks him down, and I don't think Fury will sit down on his punches as much as we think he should. But I think it's I don't think you could say one guy won all the first 4 rounds. I think I gave Wilder the second, and I gave Fury 1, 3, and 4. And it was just a lot of inactivity, more or less. It was, a lot of, I mean, as far as throw punches go, I mean, I'm looking at numbers here, and we got 6 punches landed, 5 punches landed. It's like that. So there wasn't a lot of landed punches. It was just what you thought was more effective, and I think it worked for Fury, and I think he can use a lot of that. But I think he should, crowd him a little at times, use his size and his weight, push him up against the ropes, and tire him out. Because if Wilder's going to win, let's be honest. You're not getting hit with something really that's going to hurt. Because he's not sitting down on his punches. Wilder needs to attack, but attack smart. Like David said, jab, 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 set him up, throw a punch. You don't have to be a master technician to throw a 1-2. And he could do that. He's done it. And he's set up his right hand plenty of times, and that's how he got a lot of his wins. He can do that. The things that he probably needs to do is, like I said, go to the body. And I don't think that's changing. If he really wasn't doing it his entire career, and he really lost just about every round in his last fight, and it was just nothing new until he lands his right hand, I don't think it's getting implemented in this fight. And I think he can be outboxed. I'm not going to say easy, but I'll say convincing. I'll take Fury by decision.
So I think that somebody's getting knocked out this fight, straight up and down.
Who? Be honest.
Well, the forget about that. The right hands and the punches that dropped Fury. He got hit with other right hands, and he's like a crazy man. And he was putting his hands behind it. All that shit. He didn't get hit with 2 right hands and got up from both. He got hit with a lot of right hands. Mm-hmm. He got hit with other punches, and nothing happened.
But Ricardo Majorga did the same thing and still got knocked the fuck out by Trinidad. So
yeah, Tito fucked his ass up.
Relevant.
Did he have pink hair in that fight?
Not everybody's Majorga, and thank God.
This dude had pink hair, man.
His pink hair looked orange once he was done.
For real.
He knocked the tint off of it.
So check this out. And Joey, you actually said something that's gonna segue into my point perfectly. Now we talked about Fury's weight, the advantage, his skills, how he can fight inside. Fury can also switch southpaw if he needs to. I've seen him a couple of fights where he's gone from orthodox to southpaw seamlessly, easily. But this is the thing with Tyson Fury. And
do we have a convert here? Do we have a convert here?
So check this out. This is the tale of 2 people, and they're on 2 totally divergent paths mentally. I see Deontay Wilder in this fight. This is going to be a battle of attrition and a battle of intestinal fortitude. In this fight, Deontay Wilder is the mentally stronger person. He has the mentality of, Joey, you were like that, he knocked him down. What more does he have to do? I see Wilder as he knocked him down, and I can knock your ass again if I need to. He says it. Everything that he really says, he does or he tries to do, and he doesn't try to stop doing it. The thing is about truly, truly crazy people, which I think Tyson Fury is, it's going to be hard to fuck with him on any given moment or any given night. But the problem with crazy people is to duplicate the consistency, to take that shit throughout and aim toward excellence every single time out. And that's what I think that Tyson Fury can't do. Tyson Fury, a lot of his career has been, changes and tweaks and this and that.
Inconsistent.
Seems like he gets inconsistencies. Seems like he gets bored mentally. Last time out, we haven't talked about this. This dude had 40-something stitches from auto wilding? Losing.
I was going to bring this up. I had a question about that, and I had another question.
Right.
Go ahead.
But losing focus, not really applying himself. Now he's with Sugar Hill and this, that, and the other. It's not that he needs anything technically. He doesn't need to enhance his skill. I think this is something that his mind needs. He needs constant stimulation. Now, the only other person that he's rematched, I think, is Derek Chisora. And Derek Chisora, man, is like 5'9". He's food in there for somebody like Tyson Fury. So Deontay Wilder is a completely different paradigm mentally. Deontay Wilder has that. He has that will. He has that attitude, and I think that he knocks Tyson Fury out for real this time, via Tyson Fury being crazy, not
What
being able to
round?
maintain focus.
What happens if the Fury that showed up for Klitschko shows up at this fight? That was a very
He gets
determined,
he gets knocked out.
You think so?
He gets knocked out. You know what's crazy? Because the thing is, when he fought Klitschko, what was he doing? Just fainting, throwing no punches. You know, Klitschko's used to being bigger than people anyway. So, I mean, the writing was on the wall. I picked Tyson Fury in that fight hands down, but that was also the first time that he fought that dude in Germany, in his backyard. All the chips are stacked. So a crazy man, he's like, oh, hell yeah, this is my time to shine. Look, man, I think he's comfortable. He's in there. If you notice, every single interview, Tyson Fury acts different. They said, what are you going to do with the winnings? Or what are you going to do after the fight? He's like, I'm going to buy hookers and cocaine. I believe him. That's the funny thing.
He's not buying that.
Man, everybody says
he's getting it for free.
The fight. I believe that dude because he's done it before. This is the thing, man. I don't trust Tyson Fury's mental. I trust his skill. I trust all of that. But every single fight he goes wrong, he makes mistakes. Mental lapses every single time. And I think he's going to have another mental lapse against a guy who's probably the mentally strongest guy in boxing because he has the least tools in the toolbox to work with. I'm taking Deontay Wilder, round 9, KO, for real.
Okay.
KO.
So you
That's
have
what it is.
Deontay by KO.
So
Josh,
I got.
Hold on. Joey has Fury by decision. I don't know who the fuck's gonna win. I'm leaning towards Fury the boxer if he's in condition and if he's consistent and if he's determined, then I think he can pull it off. But go ahead, Joey.
The two questions are what he touched on both actually.
Yeah.
The cut, does it make a difference?
He didn't let people hit him in the face during sparring all camp. He didn't let people hit him in the face during sparring.
Well, the interview I heard today, it said the doctor said that it healed correctly, and maybe they just took precaution.
If Wilder is pointing towards the shoulders, it's not gonna be an issue. If he's not looking to land in the face with the jab, then it's not gonna be an issue. So I don't see it.
If Wilder was gonna turn into some master technician boxer and was gonna land a ton of jabs and stuff, I'd be worried about reopening a cut.
Yeah.
He doesn't launches, so I'm kind of not really worried about the cut. The other thing is
one punch to cut you open.
Yeah, or just a head.
Right.
But I don't know. I could see it happen with a headbutt, but not a punch.
Okay.
The other thing was the fact that he'd switch camp.
Mm-hmm.
You said you don't think it's much of a difference. He just simulation. I don't see that's why I don't see him changing much. Even though he changed his camp, I think they're going to say, this is what you're good at. Go do that. I know he's been talking about a second round knockout, which makes me think he might be a little bit more aggressive in spots. He might try it in the beginning of the fight, and maybe he gets Wilder swinging wild and gets him a little tired earlier, where he could take advantage of that at the end and maybe just outbox him down a stretch. But I don't think the change of his, Ben Davidson out and the Kronk Gym in, I don't think it's going to matter that much.
Fury knows how to fight. This is not going to be a boxing, class with him with his new trainers. This is just going to be some tweaks to get him to probably do what Corling is saying he's going to do and move forward and sit on his punches and so forth, so on. But he's the kind of guy that really doesn't need somebody to teach him how to box, kind of like Wilder does and has throughout his career, because he really didn't have much of a upbringing in boxing until later in his life. So he's had to have those guys teach him the basics and the skills of boxing as opposed to Fury, who's been in the business for longer than Wilder.
But you know what he needs though, and this is where I'm fearful. I would rather you be moldable, malleable. Somebody I train people all the time in my job. Somebody that I can be like, hey, in this situation you do this, in this situation you do this, rather than that person who I'm like, you know what? Hey, you can do it. You can do it. Everything that you're doing just fine. Tyson Fury seems like he needs constant motivation. And that's where I'm afraid. Deontay Wilder is self-motivated. He just has that in him. But Tyson Fury, I mean, like, this was a complete overhaul of his training camp. Freddie Roach was there before. He's not there now. Ben Davidson.
Ricky Hatton was there before. He's not
Ricky
there.
Hatton was there. Dude, Ben Davidson was there. A personal face. He's not there. We're over here saying, like, he doesn't need skill. He doesn't need to learn anything. He needs
but he
this.
didn't put 3 nobodies in his camp. He's got a good team. It's different.
He does. But it's different. But why is it different? He needs a different voice. Something was getting stale. Something in his mind was telling him, you know what? This is stale. No more Hall of Fame trainer Freddie Roach. No more Ben Davidson, who's a really good friend of mine. Now I need 3 completely different dudes. This is the randomness that I'm talking about.
And at the at the opposite side of the spectrum, you have Wilder, who's a sponge, who's still learning, who's still, adopting things. And here's my worry about all this. I don't know that the guys that he has with him are teaching him enough of those things.
That's another argument.
I think that maybe he would have done better with a Shields, or maybe with another trainer that would take him to that next level. It almost seems like they're there for him and they've taught him, certain things, and they keep him in shape. But it doesn't go past that. It doesn't go to where, you take this fighter who's good and you make him great. So that's my concern in that area. So, but on the opposite end of the spectrum, also Fury's the opposite. He's like, what are you guys going to teach me? I don't need anybody to teach me anything. I just need somebody to get their pom-poms going and cheer me into the fight. So,
or maybe they see holes in Wilder that they can help him with, expose.
Yeah. So
maybe.
Let's go ahead and leave it there. It's going to be a great weekend. You guys have fight parties. Are you going to have a fight party, Carling? Or are you just going to hang at home? I haven't.
No, I might have to be by myself watching this because I'm a little nervous.
Oh, wow.
I don't think going
Shall we?
This is the beauty of not having any dog in the fight.
I can Amazon Prime you a box of Kleenex if you want, and you have them ready to go.
No. I got everything I need over here.
Okay. And so, Wilder by KO.
I'm doing a fight party.
Fury.
I invited like 70 people to a bar where I'm promoting it.
Man, I hope that's a good turnout, man. That's actually a beautiful thing.
Is that the same place you showed up and nobody went?
No.
Oh, okay.
That was we had a heat wave. That was the Pacquiao Thurman fight.
Pacquiao Thurman, huh?
Yeah. I invited like 100 people. And only 10 people came out.
Yeah, this is a bigger.
It was 101 degrees all day.
This is a bigger fight.
Wait, hold on. You said a heat wave.
Yeah.
A heat wave kept y'all from going to a fight?
Yeah.
Or a fight party?
People didn't come out.
Yeah, people don't want to come out of the heat.
Weak ass East Coasters, man.
Well, listen,
that bar, the air conditioning sucks in that bar. I had 10 people, and I think it was at night. It was still like 98 degrees that night.
Yes, sir. That's beautiful.
Let's do something. If you guys can, I don't know if you can, Corley, or not, but I'm gonna do it anyway. I'm gonna record my reaction. I'll have a camera in the room. I'll have a couple of guys there, and I'm just gonna record the reactions on what happens in the fight. I hope it's a good fight. I hope it lasts more than a couple of rounds. Fury says he's going to end it in 2. I don't see it. It could end in 2, but it won't be by Fury unless we see a huge surprise. And, let's go.
I'm going to show you Corling's reaction.
Oh, one more thing before we leave. Fuck Al and fuck Bob Arum. We wanted to go to this fight. Tickets were $600 for the nosebleeds. That was ridiculous. I would have booked the flight
real quick,
immediately. Go ahead.
Real quick, but with that said, I was thinking about it. The tickets were outrageous. Tickets are like $750 for like upper deck.
Yes.
But what I will say is that this should tell AJ that the money is here in America.
Everybody knows.
Come on
that.
over.
Everybody knows that.
Fight Wilder.
He wants to come over.
Fuck that Tottenham, Wembley.
He might not ever want to come back to America.
Yeah, probably. The boy got punched up by a fat man.
So I
love it.
So long. See you soon. We're gonna do another podcast soon. We're gonna be talking next about the Charlo brothers and the offers that have been floating around and all that. So stay tuned. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you hit the notification bell, and make sure you share these videos to your friends,
Adios, fuckers.
all your people. So take care. What's that? Holy cannoli.
That's the upper deck.
That's the upper deck. Yeah. No. But we're
AJ,
definitely
come over here and get punched up.
Hey, we're definitely gonna go. All of us are gonna go to. Well, hopefully all of us. We're gonna go to the Lomachenko versus Lopez fight. That's gonna be a good fight, and I'm sure the card will be good.
Baby.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's right.
and we will buy tickets early. So.
Yes.
And you ain't gonna be on no drinking shit, though. We gotta, day before my birthday.
Oh no. This detox ends on St. Patty's Day. Then it's back on.
Hey, anyway, man, I'm gonna holler at y'all. I gotta go to the gym.
Peace, guys. Be good.
Later, guys.